I feel like most science fiction movies and shows are really disclosure. I feel like
Yeah,
science fiction is really truth, or at least partially. I think
yeah,
even Star Wars is telling the truth. And I
yeah,
think, like it's funny because when they talk about I think it's the Death Star, right? That's not a moon, that's a space station. That's
yeah,
disclosure right there because look at our
yeah.
moon.
Well, it's your boy, Dustin from the Flying Chair. It's the Rise podcast. And I got a special guest today. I got Regina, and she's got an awesome podcast, and she's a UFO enthusiast, and she's all about the cryptics. And we're just going to just kick the shit today because that's what we do. So, yeah, Regina, tell me where you grew up and how you got into this field.
Awesome. Thank you, Dustin. I grew up in the Northeast, actually in Southern Connecticut, but I've lived in 5 different states now, and now I'm in the beautiful state of Tennessee as of 2 weeks ago. Um, and I've always been interested in, I guess you can just say, otherworldly phenomena. When I was 6 and 7, I was reading books on UFOs and also extrasensory perception, ESP, while my friends were playing with Barbies, and I was trying to move objects with my mind and send telepathic messages. And was always weird, and I knew that I wasn't from here. I didn't originate here, and it was obvious that I had other abilities, but I couldn't figure out how to make them work in this reality, And I noticed nobody else is moving objects with their mind. So maybe I should stop and try to fit in. And so I feel like I kind of shut down some of those abilities, which is kind of sad. I think a lot of kids that come in that have incarnated in other star systems, I think they shut their abilities down when they realize that other people aren't doing it and it's, weird. And so that's definitely what happened to me. But I kept studying, esoteric knowledge, metaphysical stuff, was always interested in the true nature of our reality. I never really bought into a lot of the BS that that we're told, I never liked authority. I was very, very rebellious. Just anything weird, anything woo, um, UFOs, ghosts, the true nature of our reality. I mean, truth is stranger than fiction, right? When you learn what the heck's going on and this is a simulation and like what the heck is going on? This is crazy. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, it's like Earth is like the Disneyland of the galaxy, with all this weird shit that's just happening here and having their own agendas. So
Yeah.
when was your like first? Did you have any personal experience with the paranormal or the extraterrestrial or?
So yeah, I've had lots of unique experiences. I could say So the one thing I could say about as a child, I could sense things. I was always very highly claircognizant and clairsentient. So the claircognizant is your psychic knowing, your inner knowing, and clairsentient is your psychic feeling. So I could feel things. If I could walk in a room, I could tell if there was a ghost. I didn't always see it,
Mhm.
but I could feel it.
Yeah.
And I was always afraid to go to bed at night. So I've come to the conclusion recently that I know I was abducted, at least as a child, because I would get so scared to go to bed and I would have to put my stuffed animals, I would have to make a full border around my bed with stuffed animals. And I realize now I was getting abducted at night, and now they would wipe my memory. So I couldn't tell you a conscious memory, but I know I was abducted. I know that I'm connected to many different star systems. And as I got older, I started to learn about, the term star seed. And when I found that, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Now I
Mhm.
know why I'm so weird, right?
Right.
And I realized I've always known that I've had, I'm an old soul. This isn't my first lifetime on earth. I've had lifetimes elsewhere, and it's always been kind of hard. I mean, this is a challenging reality. This third density is tough, man. I mean, it's hard to assimilate and realize that like my abilities don't fully work here. And then also, I've always felt like I'm way more clairvoyant than I present. And I was getting really frustrated, even up into my 30s. I'm like, what is going on? Why can't I see? Like, where's my clairvoyance? And I realized intuitively, I knew that I blocked it myself. My
Mm.
higher self blocked it before incarnating here out of fear. I knew that. And then when I had a past life regression, we actually went into lifetimes where I found out that I was an oracle and I could see through all time, space, reality. And I was killed. I was shunned. I was
Oh.
exiled from communities. And so in this lifetime, I consciously blocked it before incarnating because I probably didn't want to deal with any of that. And now that I'm more aware, I'm like, man, I really want that clairvoyance back. And I've been working on it and it's been spotty, but it's coming back. Um, but I've always been interested in metaphysics, esoteric knowledge, UFOs, Bigfoot. It's amazing how as a child, I believed in all these things, like unicorns and dragons, and people were like, "Oh, that's all fake. That doesn't exist." And now as an adult, I believe in all of it again, for sure.
Yeah. That's funny how that comes back around because I was interested in UFOs as a kid. Like I remember going to the library in the school or even like the public library just to go to the UFO books, just to flip through the photographs of some of those
Yeah,
books, just blown away. But you're right.
yeah.
And like something just comes back around as an adult. Well, the fact that I had my own personal sighting or something just
Hmm.
draws you back into it. Yeah. And then
Hmm.
you go full depth. And then you hear all these really cool theories from a lot of smart people too. And it's just like, Jesus, I'm not the only one thinking like this too. So there's something
Yeah,
there, especially with the star seeds too, who claim to have
yeah,
these connections with these star beings. Even their soul, it has these
yeah,
connections. And
yeah.
the reincarnations, it's very, yeah. Again, there's another story too, where it's like a girl in India was born, and when she was like 5 years old, she tells her parents that she was born had she was had another life a village away, and it was
Oh,
she said she like named all like her relatives and her husband and her kids, and her
wow.
family is so blown away. She's like, okay, yeah, show us his family. And she's like, oh, no, no, no.
Mhm.
Takes her down to this village, goes to this house and starts pointing out and starts naming all these people, and they're just
Crazy.
blown away. And this family
Yeah.
who like just saw this little girl come into their household, start naming everybody and telling who she was, they accepted her as a family member again. So again, she
Wow.
goes back and forth between these two families, and she, as an
Hmm.
adult too. Like what the who? To me, remember that shit.
That's
And then
so cool.
again, there's the children
Yeah,
who remember the past lives, and then when they grow up, they start to forget. But the fact that this little
yeah.
Indian girl totally remembered and kept remembering, and the fact that these two families said,
That's
okay,
so
we're
cool.
gonna we're gonna we're gonna have this happen. Because again, I think in
Yeah.
a religion too, I think that's a big thing of reincarnation, and the shit's real, especially when they like to prove it.
Right. And a lot of religions tell you it's not real, reincarnation is not real, just to kind of limit your belief system. That's
Mhm.
really, really cool. No, I think we actually bring gifts back from past lives. And I think we're drawn to certain things naturally. Like I've always been drawn to Egypt. I've always known I've had strong lifetimes in Egypt. And then I'm Italian, so I have like a Roman nose. And my mom's like, I've actually found that I've had past lives in Rome. I was a Roman soldier. We incarnate as men and women. I wasn't always a female. And so I learned, I'm like, damn it, I brought this big Italian Roman nose. Fuck, I don't want this shit.
Oh, don't
But
hate on the Italians. I'm
no,
Sicilian, so I was just saying we
yes,
have
I
some.
love it. I love
That's
it.
yeah.
But yeah, it's we bring these gifts back from different lifetimes, and then we're drawn to certain things too because our soul is drawn to it, but we don't remember,
Mhm.
we all have that veil of forgetfulness. But that's interesting that I think some children today are being born without that veil at all, and they remember everything, and that's amazing. For me, I had a veil, but it was thinner than other people, and I could see through a lot of things that um others couldn't. And it's the brainwash that we get and the programming from the media and society has been a little bit harder for them to kind of get through to me. I just don't buy it.
Yeah, yeah. And again, this makes you wonder, what the fuck, or is there an agenda with these ETs with our souls? Like maybe
Yeah.
they don't have souls themselves. There's a theory too
Yeah.
where Linda
Yeah.
Moulton Howell talks about these ETs um are kind of using us as like a farm, farming
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
souls. So like when our souls leave, it's getting sucked up by the moon or a machine that has on the moon. And
Yes.
then they
And putting
kind of
in this reincarnation trap. Yeah, I've
yeah.
seen her stuff a lot. Very
Hmm.
fascinating. I think we have been, you know, involved with benevolent and malevolent ETs. I think we're being abducted
Hmm.
by the good ones and the bad ones.
Sure.
But I think what's happening on the planet right now as the frequency is rising for Earth and we have this whole timeline split, I think a lot of the malevolent ones have backed off and the benevolent ones, I think they're there to help, but we still have to save ourselves, you know? And I think that they could have stepped in even more, but I mean, this is the greatest show in the multiverse right now, Earth.
It
People
is.
are
It
watching.
is.
This is the Great Awakening, and
It
people
is.
are like, wow, we're actually exposing those that have enslaved us, right? And I think at the higher level, the malevolent ETs that were at the top of the food chain of enslavement, I think they're mostly out of the picture now. But I think it's really just the minions that we see in government and media
Sure.
that are still playing their little tricks. But I think at the deeper level, the top of the food chain, I think, is gone. I really do. And I felt a major shift in September of 2021. And it's funny because I mentioned this to other people, and a couple of people said, I felt something around the same time where intuitively I just felt like we won the battle, like between good and evil, the spiritual battle that's going on, or we tipped the scales at that point, I think. And I also, um, right around September 2021, I had a crazy vision of the timeline split. And it's weird because I don't have my clairvoyance like fully under control. I was literally in the bathroom blow drying my hair, and all of a sudden this full blown vision takes place, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm just trying to blow dry my hair. What the fuck's going on? And all of a sudden I see this whole vision while I'm blow drying my hair. It's like looking at this reality with a film over it, and you can see kind of blurry another vision. And I can share that if you like.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So the vision was I was sitting there in the grass playing the guitar and singing, which I can't do either of those things. Trust me, I cannot sing. And I'm sitting there and I'm playing the guitar and I'm singing, and I'm sitting right in front of a fork in the road. Is People are walking down this path towards me, and there's a fork.
Hmm.
And most people are forking to the left, right in front of me. They're going to the left. And as they walk by, I feel like there's multiple messages within this vision, and you can kind of decipher what you think, right? But
Hmm.
as I'm singing, I can see there's like a bubble coming off of my mouth. Like I can see the energy that I'm sending out to people, like a bubble, like a light bubble. And as they
Hmm.
walk by, they smile and they receive the light bubble. It's almost like I'm just sending well wishes to these people on their path with
Hmm.
my song and guitar. And
Right.
they receive the bubble. And most people are going to the left. I also see people going to the right. Now, the path to the right, less people were on, and it was almost always one person, one or two people in the front of a little group. They were in groups that went to the right, and there was a person in front holding a torch. And I interpret that as the light workers, like us, people that are bringing truth, people that are bringing value, people that are awakened, helping other people to awaken. They're on that path. And I also interpret it as an ascension and a descension path. I don't like to use the word descension because it sounds bad.
Hmm.
Because I feel like we're all headed to the same place. We're just Some of us are on the express train, some of us are on the local, right? Some of us
Right.
are choosing, I'm ready. I've evolved out of third density. I'm ready for the next level. And others are, no, I need a little more time to evolve to get to the next level, right? And that's what the paths really mean. And I remember feeling really sad because I was like, oh, a lot of people are choosing the path to the left. They're not ready yet for ascension. But my higher self was happy because it doesn't really matter. Everybody's on their path, but um yeah, that vision really like hit me hard. And I think it was also saying like, hey, we're at the timeline split. It's starting. You're going to start to see people making different choices and choosing their paths. And I feel like we can feel that really strongly now. I don't know about you, but
Yeah. Yeah, something's happening with especially with all what's going on in the world, especially in Europe and the Middle East. Yeah, like
yeah,
the fuck is gonna be the next thing. But no, it's just it makes me wonder too. Am I on my last plane here? Because like now as much knowledge about the UFOs and everything else that I have right now. What else is there to come back to? If I come back here to learn more, actually, I kind of wish, I hope my soul travels the stars for all eternity because I feel like that's just endless, right? I just visit different planets and different life forms, or maybe stick around Earth a little bit to see what happens. I don't know.
I
Um,
think it's going to get quite interesting in this
yeah,
lifetime for sure. Yeah.
yeah. Again, hope for the best.
Yeah.
Pos-
I think we're
keep
going to
sending
have
positive.
conscious ET contacts in
Yeah,
our lifetime. What do you think?
yeah, I definitely think so. We're having this slow drip of disclosure with
Yeah.
Congress, giving us the little things. But again,
Yeah.
people are not satisfied. It's like fuck that. It's like, well, yeah, dude. Well, think about it. If we all spilled the beans at once, like COVID, what COVID did to us, like that was just a little cold. Everyone went nuts. And then
Yeah.
we dropped the aliens. No one's gonna go back to work. No one's gonna do anything. They're just gonna go mayhem. There might be a purge. Who knows? Like just because
Yeah. I
and
mean,
the religious ones will be jumping off the
oh,
rooftops. So
they are, oh, yes. Oh my God. So just to kind of tap on that, I feel like when we get the UFO disclosure, I don't know what the religious people are going to do. And I mean, if we have Project Bluebeam with the holographic, you know what that is, right? Where
yep.
they basically do the fake alien invasion in the sky. I mean, it's going to look real. I mean, they have holographic technology that looks real. I mean, I don't know what
Yeah,
religious people are going to do. All they need to do is project, and I've seen people talk about this, that they can, and they've practiced it even. They can project Jesus in the sky, and all they need to
sure.
do is tell people what they want them to do. Like,
Yeah.
hey, this is Jesus, run to the concentration camps or whatever. I mean, and people are gonna, I don't know what they're gonna do. Honestly, it's pretty
Yeah.
nuts, but I feel
Well,
like people in the truth community, that is one area where so many people are still heavily, I don't want to say stuck, but heavily invested in the religious programs.
sure.
So if you were an elite, an evil elite with an evil agenda, and you wanted to trap some of the truthers, you're going to do something that's going to trap religion, because that's still got so many people really, engulfed in those programs.
Yes. And the fact that there's so many religions.
Yeah.
And if you go like the square root to everything back to his roots, it's all the same fucking story with different names and shit. It's
And a
crazy.
lot of it tracks back to ETs.
Yeah, it does. And like
Yeah.
that's why
A lot of it,
I
a
love
lot of
ancient India.
religions. Yeah. And you look at the paintings on the walls in the tombs of Egypt, and it's
Yeah,
aliens. And
it's
you
aliens.
you start to, and I even saw recently, gosh, I wish I could remember, but there was a post on social media. I don't know if this is true, but even saying the word amen is like
Yeah.
connected to Enki,
Hmm.
like Enki and Enlil, the fallen angels, the fallen ETs, and
Hmm.
how people don't understand how words have power, and their energy is being harvested, even just with simple things like that, like not
Yeah.
understanding the origin and meaning of those words. And um but yeah, what if all of those religions were crafted by ETs, and you're really just worshiping it, a malevolent ET that's harvesting your energy? I mean, I don't know,
Yeah.
like
No, you're right. And they're smart enough to be doing that anyways, right? And I love like the Anunnaki story too, like how these ancient astronauts came here because their planet was deteriorating of different minerals, especially gold. And when they got to Earth, they said, "Oh, there's a lot of shit ton of gold here," and we see there's a lot of like these Homo erectus running around. Maybe we can like throw our DNA in these motherfuckers, make them some slave labor, and then
Yeah.
yeah, that's again, you have these smart humans
Hmm.
chiseling this on stone. Again, like okay, we got created by these things, giant and holding grown lions in their hands like kittens. Like, what the fuck are we
Hmm.
doing? And then yeah, like ancient Egypt too. Like I they do describe these aliens physically helping
Hmm.
them and giving them
Yeah.
technology, and they're writing on the walls, and then and then they quarry these blocks like 20 miles
Yeah.
away, and they're weighing 80 tons, and you're like, what healthy
Yeah. I
slave are
mean,
you
we
whipping on the back
humans
to?
didn't, I mean, people can't really think that humans made the pyramids. I mean, come on, you've got to,
Well, to an
you
extent, maybe like, but they do
without
say like
help,
these, right?
without
Exactly,
help. I
right.
mean, come
And
on,
then
like,
yeah, and then like, what healthy slave are you whipping on the back to drag 80 tons across different terrains and sand? And then you look at their toolbox and it's dental floss and chicken bones, and you're like, what the fuck? And it just keeps
yeah,
going on, and uh,
yeah,
not just Egypt, but like uh, South America. My God, out of the fucking jungles, they're doing this. You know,
yeah.
they
Pyramids
should.
down there too. And I mean, and we were supposed to have such primitive technology back then, right? That at least
Right.
they tell us that we haven't had, according to history, we haven't had advanced civilizations until now, which we know that's a lie. But of course we've had help. We've had ET contact and most of our technology, if not all of it, comes from ETs. And we've had even more advanced technology, and the elites have way more advanced technology. And of course, what they're showing us on the surface, like people don't put two and two together that when you talk about something like cloning, people will be like, oh, there's no way, you're a conspiracy theorist, blah, blah, blah. But they cloned a frog in the 1950s in front of our
Yeah.
face. They
Or
cloned
did
a
it?
sheep in
Sheep. I was gonna say.
2008. Dolly the sheep in 2008.
Yeah.
You think they can't clone a human by now? Like they're showing you a piece of their technology and they're hiding the rest of it. So, yeah, of course, it's just amazing the lies that we're told in this reality and how much deprogramming you need to do and how much new learning you need to do. And you have to dig for that truth. It's not on the surface.
Yeah. I was gonna say there's a guy. If I could find the book, here it is. I'll pull it up here. You heard of this guy? Coral Castle, and this is like I think it's in Florida. Yeah, it's
I
in
might
Florida.
have heard of him.
So this guy, this scrawny old ass man, was moving gigantic ton rock, coral rock. He was trying to impress an old lover or something that never came to be, and broke his heart. But anyways, he was taking pictures of what he was doing, and it had these like this little pulley with this mysterious box on it. But he was saying he wrote a book saying um that was the title. It's basically saying that he found like the secrets of the Egyptians, like how they
Mm,
were using like levitation almost. So this guy even had
yeah.
like something in the basement of this area where he's making like stuff just light as feathers. Where this old man is just doing it with a little pulley and a mysterious box that could have been some weird technology. But yeah, it's just people go visit that place and still blown away, and it's still like very mysterious how it was all put together. But this guy just claims that yeah, he discovered the secrets of the Egyptians. Maybe it was vibrations or sound
Mm.
or like again, who the fuck are these people?
I think a lot has to do with vibrations and especially with levitation. And I recently on my podcast, we talked about indoor beehives and the frequency of bees. And I didn't
Oh
even
yeah,
know this. I don't know if you've ever heard this, that have you ever heard that bees aren't flying? That they're
no.
levitating, they're not flying, and they're
Mm,
using their frequency, their buzzing to levitate. They're not actually using their wings. I've never heard that. And now I've talked to
wow.
multiple people that have, are
Yeah.
saying that and have confirmed that. And it makes sense because bees can fly straight through a tornado. If they are flying to, um, you know, a bunch of flowers or some nectar to get some nectar or something, they can fly straight through a tornado. And it brings a whole new meaning to the word beeline. Like I'm going to beeline it to whatever. But,
Sure.
it makes
What?
me realize like they are levitating. They're going straight and back. Like, how are they doing that through a
That's
tornado?
amazing. I never heard
So
of that. That's so
levitating,
crazy.
and I just every day learning more, unlearning the lies and learning new things, right? It's
Sure.
crazy.
Sure. It's really funny too, because like you said, learning the lies. Here in oh my God, it's raining. No, I learned after high school that we have pyramids here in Wisconsin. I was like, what? And I went to go venture out to go see these pyramids. And we do. We have these megalithic land pyramids at Aztaland. It's near Lake Mills. Um, and at Lake Mills, there's a place called Rock Lake. And on the bottom of Rock Lake, there's 10 rock pyramids. And when the first settlers came here, they were pointing out of the lake, and they were asking the Indians what these were, and they were saying that these were the stone teepees of the ancient ones, ancient lost cultures and stuff like that. Might have some connection with Aztalan, but again, even the Native Americans tell these stories of these people came from afar. They practice weird rituals, elongating their heads, and practice cannibalism. They built this gigantic wall around the pyramids, the Pyramid of the Moon and the Pyramid. Actually, I can show
Mm.
you some pictures really quick to illustrate what I'm saying here.
That's interesting. And then we know that the elites that basically run our planet harvest our energy and they practice cannibalism and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
types of stuff.
yeah. Let's give you a little quick. It's just an aerial view of the Pyramid of the Sun. It's gigantic, and you can see like the people down there, how tiny they are to compare this thing. And
Cool.
yeah, it's huge. They have even like fallen monoliths there too.
Mm.
Like these, they used to be standing. It's the Pyramid of the Moon. It's just the one staircase pyramid. But again, they had this wooden wall. They actually had to, I think every 10 years, had to replace the post. You know, it just rots away otherwise. I don't know. But yeah, it just kind of illustrates um again, just here in Wisconsin, like what the fuck? And, you think you would
Yeah.
teach this in history class at high school or middle school. But no, they did not touch a word on this. And then because there's so much mystery too, because the people who lived here just dropped everything and left or just disappeared out of
Mm.
thin air because there's no sign of sickness or war. And there's a
Mhm.
lot of archaeological digs here. The UW actually takes students here. They still dig up bones and pottery and shit and arrowheads. It's like, geez. So again, very mysterious. And again, you got a question why wouldn't they just talk something like super important, at least to me? Like, 'cause it's still like mysterious and it's still being dug up. Like, what?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think it all ties into the true nature of our reality and what's really going on here. Are we really just a human, I mean, an alien experiment, an alien DNA experiment? I think we are. What has been going on for thousands and thousands of years? Are they harvesting our DNA? What are they doing when they abduct us? And who really controls the people at the top of the pyramid? Um the Vatican and the royal family, like who's above them, right? When you start to ask these questions and
Right.
who are these gods that people are worshiping? And when you see the Egyptians drawing pictures of ETs and flying saucers, you start to wonder like where do these stories come from and what are they really worshiping? And the whole idea of worship is giving your power away, of believing something outside of you when really
Yeah.
I feel like the true awakening is recognizing how powerful we are and the power that's within us. And if we weren't so powerful, they wouldn't be poisoning every single thing, our air, our food, our water. I mean, I feel like I'm dodging bullets every day. Like now you can't even
Yeah.
trust organic food. And then if you grow your own food, they're still spraying the air and the skies. It's like I think they just banned chemtrails here in Tennessee, which I'm excited about. So now when I go outside, I'm like obsessed with looking up, like, am I going to see a chemtrail or, like, did they
Right.
really ban it? It's crazy. And some people still think it's not even real, that chemtrails are not. is just a conspiracy theory. It's like walking through multiple realities right now with people that are fast asleep and everything in between, right?
Yeah. No, you're right. And I guess again, we lost a lot of the truth with these ancient cultures. With again, like you said, with the Egyptians and ancient India, with their multiple gods. And I love ancient India because they talk about so many different gods and
Mhm.
flying vehicles and talking about like wars between each other
Yeah.
and then the Hopi Indians talking about the Kachina. Like
Hmm.
I love that story. And this is my
Yeah.
personal collection of Kachinas that I have,
Cool.
and they're from the 1950s and 40s. Uh,
Wow.
they're very, very special to me. Again, very astronaut robot like, you know.
Very
And again,
cool
I love
looking.
how these this culture started the cargo cult of when these things left. They started making these dolls to give to their
Yeah.
children. So once they come, because they did promise to return. So when they
Yeah.
do return, their children will be terrified, as terrified maybe. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
we grew up with these things. Now we're actually seeing these bulbous, suit
They
like
look like
creatures.
these look like beings that could be in the movie Star Wars.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, very
Yeah.
bulbous and robotic looking, especially this guy. With the lights and shit.
I feel like most science fiction movies and shows are really disclosure. I feel like
Yeah,
science fiction is really truth, or at least partially. I think
yeah,
even Star Wars is
yeah,
telling the truth. And I
yeah,
think, like it's funny because when they talk about I think it's the Death Star, right? And that's not a moon, that's a space station. That's
yeah,
disclosure right there because look at our
yeah,
moon,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And who would have thought that that was disclosed in Star Wars in like 1980 or something, right? I mean, they're literally telling us that our
yeah.
moon is a space station.
And how
So,
our moon is so mysterious too, especially where it sits, especially like the scientific version of how the moon was created, like an asteroid hit the Earth and it created. But again, if that did happen, it'd be like a zillion to one where it sits to make an eclipse over the sun, right?
yeah.
And then it's just wherever it sits in orbit right now, it affects the oceans and all this other crazy shit on Earth too.
Hmm.
So it's like there's just too much. No, it's just too much purpose for that thing to be
Yeah.
there. And then there's ancient cultures that even talk about, yeah, the moon was just towed in one day. It just appeared and it stayed. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. That's
And
crazy.
then and you talk about like when the astronauts got where the Earth collects like tons and billions of cosmic dust a year, and you
Mhm.
think the moon collects the same dust, and if that moon doesn't have an atmosphere or wind blowing around, there's just been like dust stacking up. So you think those astronauts might have been sinking into like 80 feet of space dust when they were first landing on the moon, but when they got there, it was only maybe 2 inches of space dust on there. So it's like, huh, this thing might
Yeah.
be a little bit younger than controversially thought.
Yeah.
And then they dropped something on it too when they left, and then like the moon vibrated and rang like a bell for like an hour or two or some shit like that too. I was like, what the fuck? Really weird properties on that shit.
Yeah. So have you heard the theory that the moon is the projector of do you subscribe to like this reality being a hologram or a simulation?
Yeah, I heard it's well, I have yeah. I mean I'm very open minded to every every
Yeah,
theory here.
well, I don't know if you've like looked into any of David Icke's
Yes.
stuff, but he says that this reality is a hologram simulation. And for some reason, I mean, that sounds really out there, but for some reason that resonated with me. And then I had an experience with DMT, and
Mm.
I fully subscribe to this reality being a hologram. And I can tell you a little bit about that. But there is
Yeah,
a
please do.
theory that the moon is like the movie projector. They're projecting this hologram from the moon. Like they're projecting our reality from the moon. I don't know. That's just a theory I've heard, and I'm like, I know there's nefarious stuff going on. There's a lot of secret space program whistleblowers saying there's a plenty of camps on the moon that are not for our own good, I guess you could say, both ET and human camps on the moon, and kind of makes sense. And then you tie it to Star Wars being the Death Star, where like all the evil's taking place on the Death Star. It's like, maybe they are orchestrating
Well,
stuff here on Earth from the moon.
and,
I don't know.
and a lot of this stuff stems from the Nazis too. They were talking about
Yeah,
these ETs were helping the Nazis with technology, trading, slave trades. Um, but yeah, it makes you wonder too. It's like, yeah, what agendas and what games are these ETs playing too? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like even with these contactees, like these people who have these physical contacts, right? With Billy Meyer,
yeah, yeah.
like famous case. Yeah, they might just have their own agendas. Like if I was an ET, to say for me, I went to a different planet and got like a godlike status right away. And I was just wanting to fuck with maybe one person and maybe single that guy out to be special and see what
Yeah.
happens. Of course, this guy's gonna turn into some cult leader and like something special about him. He's like the next Jesus because he's the one interacting with these things. And if
Yeah.
I was letting this guy take pictures of me or video of me or my craft to give him more
Hmm.
juice for his backing up what he was saying, so like just to get my own shits and gigs, I would do it. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
like that's just a way of humans we think. And if you think about it, these ETs are not too far from us, or like thinking, or like if they could just travel the stars every which way, or just show up into different portals or different dimensions,
Hmm.
just for shits and gigs, I would fuck with somebody just for fun.
Yeah,
See what
no, I think
happens.
I
What the
think
fuck?
they're fucking with us all the time. And I
Yeah, do
think
it.
that the
Yeah, why
laws
not?
but they have to work with the laws of the universe. And so they have to show us what they're gonna do before they do it. And that's why they use Hollywood and movies to disclose a lot of their plans that are coming. I mean, they had movies disclosing all about COVID before COVID occurred. So they have to kind of disclose what they're doing. That's kind of like their loophole. Like, well, we told them, well, you're telling us it's a science fiction movie. You're not telling us this is, but they still, that's like their loophole. Well, we kind of showed them what we're gonna do.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
Pretty
almost on
wild
it's
stuff.
almost on the realms of like the Simpsons predictions,
Yeah,
That's kind of wild to me too. I was like, how is
yeah.
this happening? How what?
Yeah, you really have to question everything. And even these whistleblowers, who has an accurate depiction of their experience and I mean, they have technology to just literally put a program in your mind or the voice to God technology where they can get into your thoughts. They can project whole experiences in your mind where you think it's real and really they just projected that in your mind. So it's how many of these whistleblowers were they just fucking with and,
Right.
having them come out with these stories to kind of throw us off track too. It's like you have to question everything, even our own experiences and our own thoughts. Like, was that real? Or,
Sure.
someone project that in my mind,
Yeah.
it's
And
crazy.
humans have been doing it to humans like all the time. We've been doing this since human experiments have been happening, especially with the Nazis. But yeah, you're right. Just the psychologicalness of or even like you're saying like Project Bluebeam, where they this one day they're gonna just have this fake invasion, or because they have
I
these
think they might
holograms to
put,
show.
and you could remember I said this. I think they might, if they do Project Blue Moon, I think they might do a projection of Jesus in the sky because
Sure,
again, how are you going to trap all the people that are, if you're trying to get people in the truth community, we're pretty aware of things, but there's still many people subscribing to religion. So that's how you get them. Somehow you could trap them with religion. So something like a hologram
sure.
of Jesus in the sky. I mean, people are waiting for Jesus to come back and save them. Boom.
So would you do like if it's going to be worldwide? Would you have like all three or four major
Lord
gods
Jesus.
showing up in those countries? You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm
I
Buddha.
know. Would
Oh,
you
I'm
have like a hologram in
Allah.
multiple areas? Maybe. I mean, they have the technology to
They
do
do.
that. I
Again,
I would definitely think they would choose a religious area, like
because
if
then
you're
you
doing
think
it
all
in the
those other countries
US,
would go crazy. It's like, what the fuck? We were wrong the whole
yeah.
time.
Because
Like,
most people don't it's not in most people's consciousness the knowledge that they have holographic technology. They've already used it
yeah,
at big football games. They've
yep,
shown you,
yep,
but they literally can project things to look like it's like somebody is in my living room right now. They
yep.
don't understand how advanced that technology is, and people are going to believe it because it's going to look real. If it was right outside, my house right now, I'm going to take a moment to be like, oh shit. And I'm like, oh, it's Project Bluebeam. Damn, here we go. Right. And I think people like us in the truth community are like, we're just kind of waiting. Like, when's the next fucking psyop? Let's go. Just get the Project Bluebeam or whatever the hell you're planning next, the bird flu. I mean, they've got lots of plans.
Oh, it's crazy that they want to destroy us, and they're humans. So it's like the one percenters want to be the one percenters on Earth, and who else? Or I don't know. It's just yeah. It's again. It's just
Yeah.
it is kind of is a back and forth thing to think about. It's just like, do you think Americans are here just to kill other Americans for just their gratification and wealth? I mean, it could be the case for some, but is it all? Or is it like, you have to think about it, is who's all the friends with Epstein? What's going down at
Right.
Disney World? And what the fuck is
Yeah.
happening at fucking
I can't believe we
Nickelodeon?
still have Disney World still functioning and people are still bringing their kids and they're still I think they're still taking trips that Disney World has a cruise and they would cruise to Epstein Island and I think they own the island next to Epstein's and they're still cruising with kids and it's like we still have all these
Yeah,
evil people
it's
that
kind
were
of
on the
funny, isn't it? Like
list,
how look at
but
Pinocchio.
it's
Pinocchio
wild.
is
It's
just
absolutely wild, but all eyes on Trump, right? All eyes
uh,
on Trump. And I don't know if he's good or bad, but I know that Biden's, Obama, the Clintons, the Bushes, I mean, it's on both sides. I know they are bad and
uh,
there's solid actual evidence there, but it's just a crazy game that's playing. And I feel like a lot of it is really just a distraction. I try not to get caught up in the movie, of what's the political theater that's really going on because I think it's mostly a distraction. And but I think this year and next year there's going to be quite a few things up their sleeve because I do think as the frequency is rising on the planet that things are naturally being exposed. The evil's being exposed because it cannot exist at this frequency that's rising anymore. It just cannot exist. And so it's like we're at the part in the film Wizard of Oz where the curtain's being pulled back on the wizard and we're seeing what's really happening. And some people are like, oh shit, they're putting two and two together, like, oh my God, this, and this. And other people are like so subscribed to the lies that they're so afraid of their illusion crumbling that they will do anything to keep that illusion like, no, that we can trust the government. And, they're not lying to us. They're not spraying the skies and they're not poisoning our food on purpose. And, that whole Epstein thing is a conspiracy. There's people that just cannot hold that level of truth in their consciousness,
mhm.
whether it's lack of expansion or lack of frequency or lack of maybe their soul's not evolved to that point yet. I don't know.
Well, I don't know where these celebrities feel like they're like gods, especially like, look at P. Diddy. My God,
Yeah.
this guy sounded like he's like the Black Epstein. he had like these
Yeah.
wild parties of probably having sex with prepubescent motherfuckers and to people getting pissed and shit on in another corner. And like, I heard there's such weird shit going on. Like, and
Yeah.
who are these? What? It's just insane. But you're right. It's just it makes you wonder if these are some sort of cults that these people get themselves into that are just
Mhm.
there's other celebrities who kind of like point the fingers and are being whistleblowers and saying that there are some corrupt, weird,
Yeah.
satanic, crazy shit going on in these house parties. You know,
Yeah.
that's like what just happened with the normal orgy parties, man. What the fuck is going on?
Just normal
What happened
drugs,
to the
sex,
old
and
tea
rock and roll,
parties? Who's got the fishbowl?
right? Just normal drugs, sex,
Yeah,
and
just
rock and roll,
yeah.
like
Can we
in the
just go home at
60s.
the end of the night? We just bust it. Yeah, I don't know.
And
Everybody
now
wants to
we're
be
bringing
covered in. Everyone wants to
nasty,
be covered in children's blood and being
disgusting
shit on
stuff.
by. Yeah, nice.
Be peed on by R. Kelly and
Yeah, I can't say
just
the golden
terrible
shower
stuff.
song.
Terrible stuff. I think it's really just going to be exposed more and more. I feel like one of the last legs is the media, and they're really just holding it up. And some people are like, we aren't going to believe it. They know the media lies, but they're not going to believe anything till they see it in the media. And it's just mind blowing. Of course, you're not going to see it in the media. The media is bought and paid for. But I think at a certain point, we will take control of the media. All these systems are crumbling, the financial system, the media, the government, our food systems being exposed. I can't even shop at grocery stores anymore. I try to go to farmers markets as much as possible. I mean, our education system, everything is being exposed and crumbling. It's wild times, yet we still gotta like have a job and like it's like you and I, why can't we just do our podcast? Like we still got to
Yeah,
make money and live. Like
I
why
know it's
can't we just
bogus.
get the UFO disclosure going and like blow the lid off? Like just let the truth out, lock up these people. And I can't tell you how many times I'm like driving down the street and I see a chemtrail and I'm like, why haven't we blown up those facilities? Why haven't we just blown them up? Like, it's just it's wild times, and I think we will slowly but surely see more and more disclosure, and these systems are crumbling, and that's
Right.
kind of why I started my podcast Sovereign AF is because what are we supposed to do, right? As these systems are crumbling around us, how do we take back our power? How do we bring more sovereignty to our family and as these systems are crumbling and then how do we build new systems, how do we build new schools that are actually teaching the truth and actually setting children up for success and not grooming them and all this weird shit that's happening and new financial system which will be kind of interesting to see how that plays out. I actually work in the financial field
Hmm.
somehow as my matrix job, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But like what are some things we can do in the meantime and how do we prepare? And are we headed towards collapse and how do we prepare? And so that's kind of why I started my podcast is just to bring resources to people as to how do we heal ourselves so we're not reliant on the corrupt medical system? What are some alternative financial strategies? What are some ways that we can grow our own food and not buy the chemicals and shit at the grocery store, and all types of those things, and I've learned a ton from.
Yeah. It makes you wonder too why we can adopt some of the stuff that's happening in Europe and like in Canada, like with health insurance and shit. Like, what the fuck? I feel like I think there was one case where like a guy chopped off three of his fingers and in America, and another guy in Canada had the same accident happen to him. And the guy in Canada gets to sew his fingers on for free. And the guy in America gets to choose which one he can afford to put back on his hand.
Mm.
I would go, dude, no fucking way. If you're capable of putting my fucking fingers back together, you fucking do it, bro. You fucking give me a choice with fingers I can fucking afford. You insane?
Yeah,
Like, what the fuck? Especially if it's happening all around the world that everybody can slap their fucking limbs back together. But here in America, oh, you
yeah.
got which one can you afford? Fuck.
There's something
No,
wrong with that whole
that's something
system
wrong. That's something
for
sick.
sure.
That's
And
fucked.
yeah, there's something wrong with the whole medical system and how the Rockefellers took hold of that in the 1930s. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't, the last place I want to go is the hospital. I'm afraid of that place. I mean,
I
I
work
don't
there.
trust medical system. You work at a hospital now?
I've been working there for 21 years in the food
Wow.
nutrition.
What do you do?
No, I work in the I work mainly in the kitchen, but I deliver food to patients.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
love hate relationship. But yeah, again, like I get
Gotcha.
benefits, but my benefits I still be paying for medical shit that I go see the doctor or dentist. I still pay like what the fuck? Again, you
Yeah.
think we have some, and just recently we were just going to go on strike, our union, because they were going to pay us our um raises and shit. So we're gonna
Mm,
hit the streets until they got too scared and like, okay,
damn.
we'll come to the bargaining table with this, and they give us a decent amount. So we're actually getting our next paycheck. We're gonna get a nice little fatty.
Nice. What are you
But yeah,
gonna do?
I don't know. Go, go on vacation. I don't know. No, yeah, it's just again just to fight for your right to get paid what you deserve to be paid. Especially been there for so fucking long. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. Just you think they work with you. They don't. It's always something against, and I don't know. We merged with another hospital, so they sent us all their crazy patients. So like all the like
Mm.
our hospital turned into like a mental hospital now. You hear screaming
Oh,
people
wow.
and all this shit, and there's always
I,
security, and
I feel
it's
like
just
hospitals are really corporate now, and everything is like bought out by big corporations, and then it's all controlled by higher, bigger level corporations, and it just really brings, where's like that level of care and that level of it's just very corporate now,
Right.
and
And
I
it
don't
got
know.
worse during the pandemic too. Like just the medical
Yeah,
field, like the
yeah.
doctors and nurses are just were so stressed. We actually had one nurse jump off the uh,
Oh,
parking ramp and died, obviously. But
mm.
again, it's like again, it speaks volumes too. They're so stressed, and these people are part of the union too. Again, like just to I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just
it's
it's
all
weird.
by design, it's all by design and how their inflation is on purpose and they're trying to really crunch us tight right now. And
Yeah.
um I do think we are headed for a financial, I'm just
And
gonna
check
say
this
it,
out. Check this shit.
collapse.
There's another sick shit. It was about like 5 years ago. There's like a guy who was working third shift in the baby ward, and he was some sick fucker that was going in the baby's cribs and breaking their bones, their arms, and fracturing their skulls. Did it to
Oh
like
my
five or
God.
six kids. He got charged. Like, and we get Meritor got hella sued. Like, oh, I don't know how to become a hospital anymore
Wow.
after that incident. Shit. But
Oh
yeah,
my God.
this guy was like a serial bone breaker, like this crazy fuck. So yeah, he ended up going to prison, catching that guy. But yeah, it was such
I don't think
a
I'd
big
have a baby in the hospital. I just don't trust hospitals.
yeah. We
I
got
don't know.
crazy
It's
fuckers in there.
it's Yeah, that's so fucked up. That's crazy.
Mhm.
So, anyway, bringing it back
Yeah, sorry.
to like UFOs and
Yeah, let's go back to UFOs.
going off on a tangent,
Yeah,
UFOs and cryptids and otherworldly phenomenon. Have you ever experienced a portal of any kind?
I have not. No. Actually, there's
I
a you have?
have.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
I have.
Mhm.
No, you were gonna say there's a
There's a place here in Wisconsin that's called Burlington, Wisconsin, that has there's a woman who goes takes people on tours, and this one certain spot in the forest, and they call it the
mm,
Burlington Vortex. And
mm,
you go there with a Polaroid or your digital camera and start taking pictures just randomly in the places. You get orbs and you get your pictures all swirly, and like you get like
mm.
double, triple effects of like like this weird phenomenon that you just can't really explain because there's this weird vortex or maybe a portal of some sort. But yeah, that's my
Have
only
you
know it.
taken a picture of it? Have you
I
gone
have
there?
yeah, I have not gone there yet. No.
You need to go.
I need to go. It's like an hour and a half away.
Yeah, you definitely need to go. So, um, I found out the hard way that mirrors can be portals. And
Really?
so, long story short, I had an experience. I think it was 2019. I was living in Las Vegas, had an apartment, and I had a stand-up jewelry box with a mirror. It was like tall stand-up mirror, and you like open it in my bedroom. And all of a sudden, I started to wake up and I had scratches on my wrist.
Wow.
And I did not have any pets at that time. I had no cats and no dogs. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I reached out and intuitively I knew because I can sense energy. I knew it wasn't evil. I knew there was nothing really dark in my apartment, but I was like, something's going on. And because it kept happening, it wasn't just one time. So, like, after a week or so, I was like, I'm getting more fucking scratches on my wrist. What the is going on? And I haven't played with any animals lately, and I don't have any animals. So, I reached out to a couple of my friends that are really talented clairvoyants and healers, and they tuned into my place. And this one woman in the UK, very, very talented. I also did a past life regression with her. She tuned into my place and she said, oh, there's a portal in that mirror. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, there's fourth dimensional beings that are coming in and playing with you in your sleep. I'm like, well, I didn't invite any fuckers in
Oh,
here. You're like, I didn't invite anybody in to play.
yeah.
Last I checked, I wasn't inviting anybody. So she's like, they're not like evil or dark. And I'm like, yeah, I can sense they're not. And she said, but they're like mischievous and they want to play with you. I'm like, well, she's like, but they're leaving marks on your body, like scratches, and that's not acceptable. So she went in, we did this whole thing, we closed the portal. Um, but she said they were like little gnomes, like
Oh.
troll like beings like gnomes. And so now I have a thing for gnomes and I collect like little gnome dolls and stuff. And I finally gave that mirror away. I knew that I had brought that also when I moved to Idaho from Vegas to Idaho. And this recent move to Tennessee, I gave the mirror away and I was like, oh, have fun with that mirror. But I knew the portal is closed. And they also, I had an experience. I never actually saw them, but I heard them and they woke me up one night at 2 a.m. And I don't know if you've ever had an experience like this, Dustin, where I woke up and I could hear like it was sounded like a party in my room. I heard like all these little like voices, like sounded like humans, and it was just dark. I couldn't see anything, and then my body was frozen.
Uh,
Like they froze me. I couldn't move. You ever have that happen?
no. Tell me more
I
though.
couldn't move and I couldn't talk. And at that point, I was like, oh shit, I was scared because I couldn't move and I couldn't
Sure.
talk. And it was like somehow I flipped the switch. And I think my higher self stepped in all of a sudden and just said, be gone, be gone, be gone, like in a confident voice. And it was gone, it was silent. So and I didn't know that. It was somehow like my soul's knowledge, my higher self must have stepped in and just boom, did that. And it was those freaking gnomes. They were in there like playing and I could hear them and they froze me, so I couldn't do anything about it. But once I closed the portal, never happened again. And I actually learned advanced techniques on clearing and shielding myself, my home. Actually, I guess one of my superpowers and my purpose that I'm supposed to step into is clearing and shielding dark energy and dark timelines. Haven't fully stepped into that purpose yet. I'm still like, oh shit, did I really choose this? Like, it doesn't sound like fun, but that is part of my purpose is to clear and shield dark energy and dark timelines. But and I shield myself and my home every morning and night. I don't even have nightmares anymore. But that was an interesting experience. So now when I'm like shopping for a mirror, I get a little weirded out. I'm like, is this just a regular mirror? Or
Right? Is this gonna fuck with me?
yeah.
No,
So
that's very, very interesting. No, I never heard
yeah.
about hearing about the mirror. You think I've seen videos of people who have like their own reflection and like their eyes didn't match what they were just doing. You know, like a mirror
Mm,
should match you. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of
yeah.
slow behind or some shit like there, and then you get freaked out, like
Yeah.
they start screaming and running away. So yeah, it makes you wonder if it is this weird frequency that we can see through a mirror because we only see it at certain vibrations to
Yeah. And so
these
like
things can
our
be these things can be
is that
living amongst us
common?
right here.
Is that
Right.
common? Are beings using mirrors? I mean, we know that like out there in nature, there's different vortexes and different portals and like especially in national parks and stuff, there's supposed to be a lot of portals and stuff.
Yeah.
People go disappearing there a lot and you wonder why, right?
Yeah.
But are mirrors also a potential portal? There was one,
Gateway.
and I
Yeah.
have no idea how did that portal open? Like, was it like that when I bought it, or did somehow I don't know. But now I clear and I shield morning and night. I don't fuck around with anything, um, because I know that there is dark beings out there. I know there are dark entities, and I don't want to play with any of those fuckers at all.
Yeah.
I mean, at least these were just little like gnome beings because that's not really scary, right? But
The
still,
the
you
pug
don't
wedgie.
don't really want like shit coming in my room in the middle of the night that I didn't invite, but I
All
definitely don't
right.
want to play with any dark stuff. That's for sure.
Well, I'm pretty sure he'd come in there sexually if he was a, a dark creature. He's like, oh, so
I've
yeah, if you like
heard,
attacked,
I
yeah,
have heard of like aliens and
yeah,
other dimensional beings having sex with humans,
oh yeah,
and I know
yeah,
there's like hybrid babies and stuff, and I've wondered to myself, do I have any? Because they're fucking with our
uh,
DNA and
sure.
abducting us, and who knows if we have hybrid babies somewhere, like on some spaceship out there. Like,
Well, it's funny. It's so I interviewed three women from Australia that claimed to have had sex with ETs, like human
yeah,
ETs, and
yeah, I believe it.
there's actually an Australian dude that's been on multiple UFO documentaries and
Mm.
stuff like that. His name is Peter Curry, who claimed to have has the holy grail of UFO or alien DNA. He actually has a hair from one of these things. So, anyways,
Wow.
his story is he was sleeping. It was 7 o'clock a.m. in the morning, and he felt like a cat jumped on his bed. And he's like, "Well, I don't have a cat." He wakes up and he sees this woman with white skin, white hair. Uh, you can tell the features a little bit different on the face and a little bit bigger eyes, but not like too scary enough. It looks more human
Looks
than
kind of
anything.
human, like, yeah.
Right, exactly. But she's naked, riding his dick, and he's just blown away. He's like, "What the? How? What is going on?" He starts to get up, and she cups the back of his head, pulls him closer to her breast, and starts kind of smothering him in her breast. And he just gets in panic mode, and his only defense was to bite. So he bit her, and he said he got a little bit of flesh in his mouth, and he started having this like reaction of burning, and he's just coughing, and he hears voices in his head,
Ugh.
and he noticed there's another ET woman on the other side of the bed, naked, and they were communicating with
Mm.
each other and saying he's doing this wrong, something went wrong, and they just disappeared out of thin air. Then he noticed he had a boner for like 6 hours that was excruciating, and he noticed there was
They must
something
have done
wrapped.
something to him to make him,
So check this out. They had something wrapped around his cock, and it was a hair. So it was like embedded, like it was if you stick your finger in there, it was like a little indent. He unraveled this thing. He said it was so painful ripping this thing off his dick, and when it did, it relieved his boner, like just immediately. Just and he's like, "What the fuck?" And he had this thing analyzed by scientists, and they found out that like had all this weird DNA from all race of humans on Earth, and the fact that it has white didn't need much sunlight, so it might have come from space. Again, this weird, even like ancient men, it had like
wow.
um the early human hominids and shit, like really weird
Mm.
mixed shit of shit, and they were uh again they were just didn't really have any answers besides his story. It's really kind of made sense
Did
in
he
this.
come on your podcast or
He
no?
hasn't. We were trying to reach out to
Yeah.
him. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can send you a link where
That's
there's a
interesting. You know,
documentary
I've
to talks more
I've
about
had a
that.
lot of because when I think when you go to sleep, you're not dreaming. I think you're waking up in another reality. I don't know what you
Mhm.
think, but like in the astral realm, I think we're traveling the astral realm, and I've had a lot of astral sex.
Oh, well, if you'd like to
And
share a story, feel free.
I mean, nothing in particular that comes to mind, but it's usually with human looking, but who knows if it's an ET, projecting as a human, and who knows if you're really having sex with an ET. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they want our DNA.
yeah.
Um, that's why I shield the shit out of myself. I don't fuck around with any of that anymore. Like I shield, especially before night, because I feel like that's when a lot of abductions happen. I feel like a lot of things happen in your sleep more than when you're awake. I really do.
Sure.
So I'm
Well,
extra careful.
sleep is death's cousin, so it makes you think about that too. Like, what realms are we going to, or half and half? You know, Are you,
Yeah.
I and two, like you think about cats too, how the Egyptians worship cats, and cats can kind of sense
Yes.
death
I have a
too.
cat.
Me too.
And I've never had a cat before, and I honestly I think they are kind of magical beings,
They
like,
are.
and you
Well,
see their eyes, and it's like, and
well,
I've
their
seen
eyes.
the
That's
stories,
well,
right?
that
Yeah.
it's rare in the animal kingdom to have slit
Yeah.
eyes. Even
They've
their
got like
ancestors.
snake eyes.
Yeah, exactly. They even hiss like a snake.
Crazy.
And they're even their
Yeah.
ancestors, like the lions and tigers and other big cats, don't have the slit eyes. It's straight pupils like we do. It's just round
I think
pupils.
they're hybrids. I think they're
Right.
hybrids
Or there's
of
some kind of
maybe a
creature
lion and a snake, a mini lion and a snake or something. It's
they can see through
yeah.
different vibrations with their
Yeah,
eyes and stuff like that. And that's one reason
absolutely.
why you think the Egyptians thought they were very important to have around. You know what I'm saying? Or even like
Yeah.
I think they're around even like to help with energies. They can you see with maybe helping with bad energy, getting some of the bad energy out of you. That's why you see some of the
Yeah.
witches having the black cats to kind of harness
Mhm.
or keep their energy at bay in a sense. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just is weird.
Yeah.
That's
No,
cats.
I noticed that my cat looks around a lot at stuff that there's nothing there and she's
Yes.
just looking around. And I'm kind of freaks me out sometimes. And then I've also heard about how healing their purring is. And it's like
Yes,
she
yes.
knows when I'm upset or I'm feeling sad. And she comes and she
Oh,
lays on my chest and just starts purring. And I think there's something to that frequency. I think they are kind of magical. I've
yeah,
always been more of a dog person, but I have a cat now and I'm like obsessed with her. Her name is
yes,
Sage.
yes. Oh, that's cute.
I'm obsessed with her pretty
That's
much.
awesome.
But
Yeah, I'm a cat lover. I grew up with cats. I have a cat. Her name's Ripley after the movie
mm,
Alien. But yeah, no, I love cats. Yeah, very mysterious. Makes you wonder why they were worshipped in the first place.
yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. Makes you wonder. Did they come from a maybe which they came on a spaceship themselves? And actually, there's claims
Probably.
too of cat-like ETs. You heard this?
Yeah. The
Yeah,
Lyrans. Yeah.
yeah, the lions. Yeah.
So one of my main spirit guides is a lion.
Hmm,
And my intuition says, because I know that Sage is like one of my, we're just, I think you can have many soulmates, including animals, and
sure.
she's definitely one of my soulmates. And something tells me that my lion spirit guide might be her higher self.
Ah,
I think she's connected to my lion spirit guide. And so I know I'm connected to Lyra. I know I'm connected. When I research these different star systems, they all resonate. And I've been told by that healer in the UK that I did a few sessions with, because I asked her, I said, what star systems am I connected to? Because I feel connected to many of them. She said, all of them. She's like, you're connected to all of them. And I was like, oh, normally it's like mostly, oh, Pleiadian or Sirian or Andromedan or, and or Lyran. And
hmm,
she's like, you're connected to all of them. And she's telling me that my soul is as old as far back as she can go, is how old my soul is.
wow,
And she told me that I'm one of the founder beings of the Pleiades. And I know I have strong connections to Lyra, and because why would my spirit guide, one of my main spirit guides that's always there is a lion? Why would it be a lion if I'm not connected to Lyra?
sure. Yeah. Why would
Have
you?
you ever tapped into your spirit guides or your higher self or any of that?
I no, I never know how to get into that or knew. Is it like one of those like star charts or something where you're if
Well, I guess there's different ways. I've had some out of body experiences with just meditating.
okay,
And then I've had other people kind of lead me on journeys. And then I've had sessions with people where they've just told me. So I've had both my own out of body experiences, and then I've had people tell me, okay, I see your spirit guide. It's a lion. I see your higher self, this and that. And so I've had both experiences. So I would say, like, finding someone to guide you into the experience,
sure,
and connect themselves that can see. And then I like working with people that teach you how to do it yourself. Like, I think a lot of different healers and people out there are just, you know endlessly charging people for sessions, but I've found some really powerful people that have taught me things myself, and I've learned to strengthen my own abilities where I can connect on my own. But it takes a little time to get there, I think.
right. And you said I think you mentioned telekinesis too a little bit. Have you practiced more of that, or did you just kind of you try to tamper with that a little bit when you were kind of getting into the subject?
So as a kid, I would try to move objects with my mind,
Hmm.
and I would try to send telepathic messages. And I remember getting frustrated, like it wasn't working the way it used to in other realities. And my mom was so cute. She would play along. Like as we were driving, I would try to change the stoplight with my mind, and I'd be like, okay. And she would play along and be like, oh, you did it, Regina. Like you just went from red to green. And I know she was playing along, which was so cute because I think most
Sure.
parents would just tell you, don't do that. That's not normal. She played along. But I
Hmm.
realized that it wasn't normal, that other people weren't doing that. And so I did stop. And I do think that I have started to work a little bit more with telepathic messages. I think those abilities are going to come back online even in this
Sure.
reality as we
Sure.
shift frequency. I think we'll learn how to do that, how to make objects move, how to and I think naturally we do send telepathic messages. I mean, how many times do you think of someone and then they call? Somehow you're on that frequency, right? You're thinking, or you're thinking about someone and they message you, or you're thinking about something and then it pops up immediately. Like you're picking up that frequency wave out there and then it occurs and you're kind of picking it up as it's occurring or right before. So I think that's a form of telepathic messages.
Yeah.
It's just how do we do it more consciously? Like, how do I tell you something specific right now, Dustin? Like a
Yeah.
telepathic message, right? That's very clear and concise and more do it more consciously. I think we're heading in that direction though.
Yeah. And we're doing this with ETs too, like having this.
Yeah.
There's been cases with the contactees that have these telekinetic messages coming to them. I don't know if you knew much about this case here back in 1965, I believe. Um,
I don't think
this is awesome
so.
book, awesome book. So this guy and his family from Holland, he's kind of, I think he's a millionaire where he's from. Anyways, he had like a little Jacques or I might be saying it wrong, a little yacht or whatever the hell it's called, a little sailboat. So him and his
Hmm.
family, his wife and three kids, two daughters and a son, went sailing, and it was a clear channel. And they hit something in the water, and he looks over the edge of the boat and he sees his body floating upside down or face down. And his first reaction was to jump over the rails and get the body. And he does. He gets this body. He's in this bulbous suit with this helmet, round helmet that had a blue, like a light blue light shining through it. You couldn't see anything out, but just this blue light. And this thing wasn't moving on deck, and everybody was just curious, like, what the fuck is this? And then you see this UFO rise out of the ocean, and a door opens, and another creature wearing the same suit comes walking up onto their boat, and the whole family is on the other side of the boat screaming and crying and shit. One of this other creatures picking up its fellow and picks it up and goes back to the UFO and just kind of waves thanks for saving his friend in the water. And then
Wow.
and this UFO submerges again. And then in the morning, they were freaked out. They didn't go anywhere uh, after this witnessing this shit. Anyways, this UFO comes back in the morning and invites this dude to come onto their spaceship and say, like, "Hey, we just want to say thank you again, and just want to show you around." And it was uh, this time it wasn't wearing its suit. It was like this, almost like a horse face
Wow.
ET,
Interesting. Okay.
very bony like. Must
Ah.
kind of. Anyways, he got on board, and this thing had like an iPad, and it showed him, like, he just had questions like, "Hey, where do you guys come from, or where do you guys eat, or where do you guys live in?" And he just pulled up on this iPad all the stuff he was asking, and he was interacting with
Mm.
other ones and showing them um, all the technical stuff in this craft. And then yeah, they dropped him back off in his boat, and they just went off. And then they've been having like telekinetic messages back and forth with this guy, and he just sits in his, like, around 4 o'clock. He just sits in his office. He's just beamed, and he sits there and he starts, or I don't know if he types or writes, but yeah, he just goes of all this information. That's why this huge book is all a lot of the contacts, and very
Cool.
interesting story. Um, Again, this, you don't hear someone saving an ET and then having the
Mm.
ETs come and saying, "Oh, thank you," and look,
That's really
let me
cool.
show
I
you
like that.
around, and we'll keep in contact with
Yeah.
you once in a while through our.
That's
And
really cool.
yeah, their plan is majority is water. So that's why a lot of them are. They do like underwater farming, and uh, that's why they can breathe
Yeah.
underwater like a seal. And yeah, it's really weird shit, man. And again, it's just so cool that they found Earth that has water. Is one reason why they're here. And it is kind of
Mm.
this, you know,
I
had
think
little
there's a lot of
accent.
stuff going on underwater, actually. I think there's a lot of
Yes, yes,
not just
there is.
UFOs, but what do they call them? USOs,
Yes,
underwater,
yep,
or
yep. Submerged
or
objects.
something. I don't know what they call the underwater. I think there's a
Submerged.
lot of stuff going on under there. Obviously, inner Earth beings, but I think
Yes.
there's like even portals through the water where you see objects flying out. There's a
Yeah.
lot going on in the
Yeah.
water for sure.
Uh, I actually have some photographs too, physical photographs, if you can find them quick, of this UFO that came out of the water out of Australia. I think it was back in 90, Jesus, early 90s. Sorry, I'm trying to find it here quick. But yeah, I actually have the negatives too of this thing. There you go. So yeah, this thing just popped out of the water, and this guy was taking a series of photographs, and the thing flew over his head and like kind of showered him with the with water when it came over. And
Wow.
yeah, this was taken in 93. Eric Thompson. So yeah, and this other small object comes out of the sky to meet up with this thing that popped out of the ocean. And this is Colonel Wendell Stevens' handwriting on the back of these photographs. It makes it even more special. And I have the negatives to these things. Dun, dun,
Cool.
dun. So
Wow.
eat
That's
that
gotta
shit.
be,
Yeah, I say.
yeah, that's gotta be probably worth some money too. It sounds like you've got a little collection of stuff going.
I've been told by experts and other people who are in this field that I have a treasure trove, little gold mine and stuff here. So yeah, it's gonna stay with me
Awesome.
for the rest of my life, and I'm probably gonna pass it down to um, my family. So yeah, because I
Cool.
want this subject is gonna be endless, even when they do show themselves. It's still gonna be a
Yeah,
really hot topic. My God, future and
can't wait.
past.
Can't
Yes.
wait to have these beings just interacting with us. There's no doubt they're already walking amongst us. I mean,
Yeah.
there's alien races that are human looking enough
Yes.
where, have you ever watched the show Cosmic Disclosure on Gaia.com with David
Yes.
Wilcock?
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
he interviews secret whistleblowers and secret space program people, and they've said there's human. I could be an alien. You could be an
Yeah.
alien. I mean, they say the way you tell is by their eyes and their ears, and that their ears are going to be just a slightly different shape. Their eyes might be just a little different shaped, and if you look at some people, you wonder. And actually, there was an episode on that show and they said, and I was living in Vegas when they said this, and I never did this, and I'm kind of pissed. I want to go take
Mm-hmm.
a trip to Vegas and do this now. But they said if you want to see an alien, go to the Stratosphere Hotel
Mm-hmm.
and stand outside the Stratosphere Hotel and just watch like the downstairs outside of the Stratosphere. He said they hang out there, and he said how you'll know is if you look at people and you send a message in your mind and you just stare at them and you say in your mind, "Are you an
Yes.
alien?" And they turn
Yes.
around and then they look at
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yep.
They heard the message. So
Yep. Then
I've
you know.
always wanted to do that. It's weird how they hang out at the stratosphere. Like, what? I don't
Yep.
know. I don't know. Maybe this guy is just making it up. I have no idea. But why didn't I do that when I was living in Vegas? Now I want to go do it.
Yeah. But there's one photograph that I do have here of an ET woman that was taken in 1950s. I don't know if it's Howard Manger was the contactee. So this woman claimed to be from Venus, and she actually ran off into the woods and jumped into a UFO shortly after taking this picture. But you can see her eye
Very
ducts
human
are
looking.
yes, but her eye ducts are so deep, and then you can see on her forehead there's a raised, just I can't really see too much. There's somewhat raised up in the middle of her forehead.
Like a bump or something? Like
Yeah,
a,
it's a yeah, it's risen. I don't know if I can.
yeah. Otherwise, she looks pretty normal.
Yeah, and she's got super long eyelashes. But look at those tear ducts, just super deep and huge. But yeah, again,
Yeah.
very human. And I
Yeah.
love uh, the Russians call themselves cosmonauts, and their whole belief is that they believe that humans themselves are ETs and they're just going back home. They're just
Yeah.
going back. Yeah, that's just another poetic way of thinking about it. It's like, yeah, we could be this ET race that crash landed here on Earth and just kind of lost technology and got in wars with each other because some idiot fucking crashed onto this fucking planet. And yeah, now we're all spread out against the world and had to start from sticks and stones again and trying to figure out who the fuck we are again.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense. And it's I just love that concept with how the Russians call themselves cosmonauts and that little belief behind that they're just returning to the stars where they once came. So it's like, yes, why can't we have that little slogan for America here? I like that little ancient astronaut aspect. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I definitely think we're an ET experiment for sure. And I think that it's shifting into a point where I've heard, and this resonates, where that the benevolent ETs kind of stepped in and said, you got to stop the experiment now. They need to figure out who they are. I don't think they're going to step in and save us. I think we need to save ourselves. But I think a lot of the malevolent ET stuff, some of it's still going on for sure. But I think at the highest level, it's been kind of stopped, I think. And now it's really just a matter of us waking up,
Yep.
taking back our power, blowing the lid on a lot of the darkness and we still have the little minions, the evil minions of the ETs that are still running shit, like, the Vatican
Yeah.
although the royal family seems to be going down pretty
Yeah.
quickly. So that's kind of interesting. They've always been at kind of near the top of the pyramid.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. No, you're
So
right. We're
yeah.
into some exciting times with politics and ET disclosure. Hopefully, war will end here soon, everywhere. Can we stop just fucking killing each other? That's why I
Right.
think
Might
this
be nice.
aliens. I think maybe the aliens, if they did show up, just that would stop war. Why the fuck would you keep killing each other when you have this big giant thing in the sky and it will tell you what is God and what isn't God? Like what the fuck?
Yeah, I am all for disclosure. I'm all for natural alien, I guess, intervention, but I really don't want the Project Bluebeam, like the fake alien invasion that they're going to use as an agenda to control us. I hope people see through that.
Yeah.
But if the real aliens want to come, the benevolent ones, and show themselves, and that's cool. But the fake holographic shit that the elites want to do for their own agendas, we can skip that part. But we'll see. I don't know what the
We'll
hell's going to
see.
happen.
We'll see. Well, on that note, will you tell some of our audience where they can find you and if any websites, or I'm gonna drop your YouTube link.
Yeah. So you can find my podcast, which is all sovereign resources of all kinds, natural healing, how to kind of escape the matrix as much as you can. It's called Sovereign AF. You can find it Sovereign AF podcasts on YouTube, Rumble. Join the Facebook group on Facebook where we dive deeper into topics and go live for the podcast. You can find me, Regina Cornelio, on Facebook, Sovereign AF Podcasts on Instagram, and then my other personal Instagram is awaken_from_within.
Dope. That's awesome. And again, I was so glad to finally meet you and have you on my show. That's super, super dope. And I'll definitely have you back because we like to have like group chats. And like, again, we'll have other people who are in the same field of thought process, and we'll just kick some more ideas around, make some new friends, and just have fun in general.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was so fucking fun today. And why don't you stay with me for 2 more minutes?
Sure.
All right, cool.